Support for this podcast comes from St. Alphonsus Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Clinics, with physicians, physical therapists, and trainers who treat sports and performance-related injuries, with locations across the valley. More information on services and locations at stalphonsus.org/stayactive.
Idaho is a big state, and it covers a lot of territory. Idaho Matters wants to take you to every corner of the Gem State by visiting all 44 counties, and we need your help to do that. Email us your story ideas at idahomatters@boisestate.edu for our new series we're calling Idaho 44. And be sure to join us each weekday at noon and 8 on Idaho Matters and travel the state with us.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector. It's Idaho's daily news. Good morning. I'm George Prentice. Today, we'll tell you the latest on Idaho's version of a DOGE task force, a meeting today on the future of medical education in Idaho. We'll check the fire watch and big change in the weather outlook. It is Tuesday, the 26th of August, and here we go. Idaho lawmakers are scrutinizing vacant state employee positions. That as the latest DOGE task force meeting tries to find ways to cut next year's budget. James Dawson tells us more.
About 40% of state agencies kept staffing vacancies at a good level, according to new data released Monday by Keith Bybee, the budget director for the Legislative Services Office. In a presentation to lawmakers on the DOGE task force, he said larger agencies should aim for less than 5% of positions to be vacant. But he says the data can get skewed by an office's size and mission.
Size of the agency, complexity of the agency is going to make a difference under that case.
Bybee's data show agencies do largely spend their personnel budget on their staff, which some lawmakers worried was being used to pay for other programs instead. Republican Representative Josh Tanner says he next wants to look into calling remote workers back into state office buildings.
Some of them are empty, some of them are only partially filled, and yet we're still paying a mass amount of money for gas, heat, and so we just want to make sure we're utilizing the space and make sure we're not wasting taxpayer money.
The task force will submit its recommendations to the legislature when it returns to Boise in January. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
At the Capitol today, a meeting looking at medical education in Idaho. You may remember during this year's legislative session that there was plenty of debate when a measure was introduced that would have ended Idaho's partnership with the University of Washington through the so-called WWAMI program. The bill attracted plenty of backlash from healthcare providers and students, and that stalled the bill, but it also prompted the creation of the Idaho Medical Education Plan Working Group, which includes representatives from the State Hospital Association, the State Board of Education, and a couple of legislators. GOP House Representative Dustin Manwaring of Pocatello is a co-chair.
We dealt with this issue during this legislative session. I think all of us have a passion to address our physician shortage in Idaho. It's frankly, in my opinion, a crisis. We're at that level, and if we don't start doing things now to change status quo, we're not going to change the needle, and we're going to be decades just looking back at having done nothing different.
During today's session, the group is expected to hear from representatives from St. Al's, St. Luke's, the Boise VA, and Kootenai Health, and they get underway this morning at 10. Integra Resources and the Shoshone-Paiute Tribe have partnered for a precious metal mine in southern Idaho. Jackson Holmes has details.
The Canadian mining company acquired the Delamar project in 2017. Integra plans to restore the open-pit silver and gold mine, which closed in 1998. The mine sits on traditional Shoshone-Paiute territory, just 73 acres north of the Duck Valley Reservation. Reopening of mines is nothing new to Idaho. Partnership between mining companies and local indigenous tribes, however, is. Marco Ovando is the public affairs officer for the Shoshone-Paiute tribe. He told Idaho Matters yesterday that Integra reached out to tribal leaders prior to beginning the restoration process.
We have a fair share of precedents before us. And what happened with Integra was simply unprecedented.
The tribe will play a vital part in managing the mine's environmental impacts. Ovando says it will use cultural monitors, people with extensive understanding of the region's history, to protect any artifacts that may be uncovered in the process. It will also help work to keep any toxic materials out of groundwater. Integra and Shoshone Paiute leaders have been in talks for the past 5 years. Emily Hendrickson, the manager of external affairs for Integra Resources, told Idaho Matters the mining company is dedicated to environmental protection. Partnership with the tribal nation was just the first step.
The next major step is going to be initiating that NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act process, which includes more tribal consultation, public involvement, and comment opportunities, impact analyses.
Both Ovando and Hendrickson say they hope this agreement will set a standard for future collaborations between tribal nations and mining companies. Jackson Holmes, Boise State Public Radio.
On the fire watch, hundreds of firefighters remain on the scene of wildfires across the region this morning. Checking in on the Rock Fire, which has now burned nearly 2,800 acres southwest of Donnelly. It is 29% contained. Nearly 900 firefighters are on the scene there. The Island Creek Fire has now burned more than 10,000 acres southeast of the Idaho County community of Lowell. And in North Idaho, the Sunset Fire has now burned 3,230 acres, about 26 miles north of Coeur d'Alene. It is 42% contained. The National Interagency Fire Center in Boise has the current preparedness level at 4. That's 4 out of 5, meaning resources are heavily committed. Dave Grainert is over at the National Weather Service office in Boise. Dave, good morning.
Good morning, George.
What can we expect today?
Yeah, we're looking at some showers and thunderstorms for today, and our high temperatures are probably going to be right around normal or so, a little bit below normal, actually.
And what is normal? What does that mean? Close to 80?
Yeah, we're going for highs today in the mid-80s, which is slightly below normal.
Now, tomorrow, it's my understanding that there's a pretty good chance of precipitation.
There is a better chance of precipitation tomorrow as we get into a low-pressure system that's moving up through the Great Basin and into our area, so yes.
And a fair amount of precipitation, we see the possibility of flash flooding.
We do have a flash flood watch out. It's a very moist atmosphere. We're near record amounts for our moisture content in the air mass, and so any kind of shower or thunderstorm that develops has the potential to bring some heavy rain. So that's what we're concerned about. The flash flood watch is really, the biggest threat there, I think, is going to be for the mountainous areas, especially burn scars, any previous burn areas where flash flooding is certainly possible.
Good to know. What's on the other side of that as we look to the end of the week?
Sure. As we head into the weekend, it should dry out. So Thursday, it's on its way out, and then by Friday and it's Saturday and Sunday, we're looking drier. So it's looking certainly like a drier weekend with high temperatures right around normal upper 80s or so into approaching 90.
Here's Dave Grainert, one of the busiest people in town. Dave, thank you so much and have a good Tuesday.
You too, George. Thank you.
And that is today's episode of The Connector. I'm George Prentice. We'll see you back here on Wednesday. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, check out BoiseStatePublicRadio.org or download the free Boise State Public Radio app. And thanks for listening.